What's going on, my fellow nerds? It is me, Jamocha from Sounds Nerdy, and this is the Blip, the show in which I talk about news, highlights, and events from the past week in the world of tech and video games. As always, I like to kick things off with what I like to call the Tech 5, counting down 5 stories from the past week, counting down to the number 1 story, which will be the topic of the week. I will dive into that topic in a little more detail, followed by what's new in tech. If there's something new out there in tech, new technology, new gadget, new gear, or anything like that, I will cover that. And without any further ado, let's get on to the top 5. Alright folks, this week at number 5, Apple drops obligatory Siri Remote support for tvOS games. And this article is by developonline.net. Let's dig into the article here. Developers working on titles for Apple TV now have the option to include the MFI controller and the Siri Remote compatibility as they see fit. MFI controllers are your regular or your standard controllers that you use for your computer video games. Games built on Apple's TV OS platform no longer have to include support for the Siri Remote by default. When Apple first unveiled the OS for its Apple TV machines, its development guidelines clearly stated that games must support the Apple TV Remote and may not require the use of a controller. Now the docs have been altered slightly to pave way for developers to include or not compatibility with the Siri Remote and other third-party peripherals as they wish. When designing a tvOS game, you may require the use of an MFI game controller, but where possible, you should also support the Siri Remote, a new controller programming guide reads. We can see here that Apple has actually opened up the tvOS or the Apple TV to actually include optional support for the Siri Remote and other MFI game controllers. So I think this is smart by Apple, and it's showing that they are starting to open up and release some of the restrictions that they have been holding on their Apple ecosystem for a long time. So you'll hear more about Apple's releasing that hold a little bit more in some later stories. All right, moving on to number 4 here. This is by Vine Report. Samsung Galaxy Note 7 release date. Phab 2 feature an iris scanner. I don't know why they titled this that. They nowhere in this article do they talk about the release date. So I'm assuming they just did that just for hits. But I probably won't use them as a source going forward in the future here. But okay, recent reports have pointed out that the upcoming flagship phablet for Samsung, the new Samsung Galaxy Note 7, may very well be coming with a new biometric scanning feature. Aside from the usual fingerprint scanner that will most likely be embedded on the home button of the device, the new phablet is also rumored to support the iris scanner. This speculation is evidenced by a new privacy setting found on a Samsung beta software update. Furthermore, Samsung has allegedly imported iris scanner components to India for testing purposes. So obviously Samsung is jumping on to the iris scanner as well. So this is something that's pretty interesting. Not only will you have your fingerprint out there, you're now going to have your iris scanner details out there as well. Could get a bit scary, but let's continue on to the article down here. So while exploring the new firmware, it was found that within the privacy settings, there were now 3 options for keeping a device secure. Previously, there were only 2 options: securing the device through the use of a traditional PIN code, or securing the device via the use of a fingerprint scanner, which we all know at this point. But now a third one was found: securing the device via the iris scanner. With this feature, users would simply have to face the phablet's front camera to unlock the device. So another way to unlock your device, seemingly it should be easier and probably quicker, hopefully, if they're going to add this. But obviously it's going to make it more secure as well. So we'll see how this holds up. Just the last sentence here down. Furthermore, Samsung has reportedly imported at least 200 pieces of iris scanner modules to be used for testing purposes in India. So again, this adds more fire that they are indeed looking at the iris scanner for their upcoming line of phones, presumably starting with the Galaxy Note 7. All right, let's move on to the number 3 topic this week. Lenovo and Google unveil a phone that knows its way around a room. Right, this article is by the Daily Herald. A Lenovo smartphone unveiled Thursday will be clever enough to grasp your physical surroundings, such as the room size and the presence of other people, and potentially transform how we interact with e-commerce, education, and gaming. This article goes on to talk about what the phones do today, basically with GPS and cell towers. But tapping Google's 3-year-old Project Tango, the new Phab 2 Pro phone will use software and sensors to track motions and map building interiors, including the location of doors and windows. I'll talk about the Phab 2 Pro phone a little bit later. I got some details about that from another event from this event actually. So Project Tango here, this is Google's 2 or 3-year-old project that they've been working on. I'll just give you a little bit background on what actually Project Tango is or what it does. It allows developers to create users' experience using mobile devices that include indoor navigation, 3D mapping, measurement of physical spaces, recognition of known environments, augmented reality, and exploring virtual 3D worlds. So this is going to be used indoors a lot, so it can map things around your indoor. It can be used as an inside map if you're in a house or a building or something. You can use, so it's sort of like Google Maps, but it's for Google Maps for indoor. So I think that's pretty cool technology, and also with the VR and AR capabilities as well. So Project Tango sounded like shaping up to be pretty cool technology. Be really excited to see more of that, and the Phab 2 Pro phone will have that, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. All right, moving on for number 2, the OnePlus 3 has actually came out and was launched. You can see here that the phone has a price of $399, and that is an unlocked price. So that is actually a very good price for a phone with these specs, and I'm going to get into that as I scroll down here. You can take a look at that. And you can see here, just a quick video, here. You can actually watch this video here. I'll make sure I put a link down there so you can check out this phone. The phone actually includes what they're calling dash charge, again, which is another fast charging technology. It says here that you can get a day's power in just a half hour. So that is pretty dope right here. It says providing over 60% charge in just 30 short minutes. Excellent, fantastic. I'm loving that a lot of these cell phone manufacturers are starting to embrace this fast charging technology. So that can only be good for the consumers. All right, going down here, obviously it includes, I think it includes USB Type-C. Here it talks a little bit about the design. We've taken our obsession with aesthetics, quality, and usability to a whole new level. The OnePlus 3's metal unibody is carved from a single slab of premium aluminum, resulting in an ultra-thin design with a satisfying solid build. So, fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on that. I talk about their camera here. They have a 16 megapixel camera, which boasts a lightning fast shutter speed, snappy autofocus, and intelligent software. All right, let's go down here a little bit more here. You can see this right here, another view of the phone here. And let's get into the specs here, which is I'm sure a lot of you nerds out there want to know about. So here they have 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is included. I'm using Snapdragon 820, which is the latest processor from Qualcomm. Has an AMOLED display, and for the GPU is using the Adreno 530 GPU. Talk a little bit more about some of the details. Also, it talks about it has a dual nano SIM support, which means that you'll always be connected. And with their 5.5-inch optic AMOLED display, all that power under the hood is just as nice as it looks. Right, so pretty good here. Talking about their Oxygen OS, which is lighter, more powerful, and super sweet. So obviously it's laid on top of the Android OS here. And you can see here's a little bit of the UI there. So overall, this phone is really shaping up to look pretty good. I mean, pretty nice. And at a $400 price point, that's almost less than half of what the Samsung Galaxy S7 costs or some other flagship phones out there. So OnePlus is really doing big things in the cell phone market. So I'm excited for them. And if anybody out there gets this phone, please let me know in the comments below, how do you like this phone? And for my topic of the show this week, we're going to go over the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference that they had just about a week ago. A lot of details came from that. A lot of things happened. So I'm just going to get right into that. So just very quickly, there was a lot of stuff that Apple unveiled in this week. Just very quickly, there was a lot of things that Apple showed off and unveiled in their Worldwide Developer Conference this week. I'm going to get into probably a few of the things that they've showed off that I thought was pretty exciting and actually pretty groundbreaking for Apple themselves. First off, they talked about Watch OS 3, so there's a new version of that, and that will be coming out this fall. It has background updates, so you can get your updates through the background. You can actually dock some of your favorite apps right on the watch. On the favorite app section within the watch. Smart replies built right into the interface this time around. And there's also a control center where you can swipe up from the bottom and get access to some of your most used functionality. They also introduced a writing feature, so you can actually now scribble right on the Apple Watch itself, and you can actually write messages on there as well. So pretty nice. And they also said that it also works in Chinese as well. I'm not sure if there are other languages supported, but they seem to be doing a lot of support for the Chinese market. Next thing that they talked about here was a tvOS, which is coming out in the fall. So with the tvOS, they now have unveiled a Siri Remote app for your iPhone and your iPad. So instead of having the physical Siri Remote now for your tvOS or for your Apple TV, you can actually have that same app included on your iPhone or your iPad. So that was pretty good for them. I thought that was pretty smart. OS X, some new features in there. One of the big things they talked about was they're now changing the OS X software name to the Mac OS now. So they want to keep it more in line with all the other OS devices. They showed off the universal clipboard, so you can actually now copy and paste from one device, and then you can copy from one device and then paste it into another device. So I can copy on my Mac OS, and then I can paste that text on my iPhone or my iPad. So I think that's pretty nice. To me, that's one of the more exciting features. It may not seem like a big deal, but I'm actually pretty excited about it. They also talked about picture-in-picture as well. So if I'm watching a video, I can just slide it down into a smaller screen and then continue to do work on my other screen. So pretty nice as well. Next, they talked about iOS 10 here. They showed a lot of new features from the iOS for iOS 10. They focused a lot on the lock screen with the updates in the iOS 10. So they also talked about they've now opened up Siri to developers. So now third parties, developers can actually interact with Siri. So again, it's showing that Apple is starting to open up their ecosystem to allow third party developers to take control of some of that core Apple tech. So that'll be pretty exciting to see what some of these third party developers will come up with. There's a quick type feature as well. Just some of the features I'm just going to rattle off. So quick type. They also did some more updates with the photos. Maps are now opened up to developers as well. Navigation. They've also showed off to Apple Music. Apple Music has an all new design. They now have new magazines for the Apple. They have over 2,000 publications that are now supported for that. One of the big things, another big update for them was HomeKit, which is their smart home application or technology. It now has an application embedded for your iOS or your iPad where you can actually control all your smart home automation from your cell phone now or your iOS device. So I thought that was it's a pretty exciting move by Apple. Another big update within iOS 10 is messages. Now they showed off a lot of messaging functionality. The major takeaway from that is that it's now getting what they're calling rich text. Within the messaging app or iMessage, you can now embed pictures, you can embed video, you can actually attach like stickers or pictures or whatever. And they also showed off larger emoticons as well. So your emojis are actually larger or smaller. You can actually send messages that are, if you want to put some type of effect on your messages, you can actually do that as well. So if you want to say scream a message or something, you can actually make the message bigger or smaller. You can make the emojis bigger or smaller to actually match your mood. It also announced that the iMessage and messaging is actually opened up to third parties as well. So again, Apple is really opening up a lot of their applications to third parties. So that's my big takeaway from Apple, is that they're starting to open up to a third party. So I think that's a smart move from them. I think there's a lot of competition in the mobile space with obviously Android and Windows Phone and other OSs out there. So smart move by Apple on that. All right, moving on to my next section, what's new in tech. Lenovo had their big World Tech World, and they unveiled a few cell phones. So I'm going to get into that. The first thing I want to talk about is foldable phones here. So Lenovo kicked off the show with YouTube star Megan McCarthy showing off two awesome prototypes, actual flexible, foldable phones and tablets. It goes on to say that the phones won't be released anytime soon, but we saw a tablet that folds in half and becomes a phablet, and a smartphone that folds like a slap bracelet to become a wearable device. This is pretty exciting, and I would love to get my hands on this. And to also add some more to that, this is about Samsung. Samsung exec says phones with bendable screens are right around the corner. So again, this technology is going to be coming soon. As you can see here, we have at least two major manufacturers are already working on this technology. So the article goes on to say that earlier this week, a report claimed that Samsung is working on two devices with foldable displays, and they may be unveiled as soon as February of 2017 at Mobile World Congress. So hopefully this does happen in 2017 or in February. This would be pretty exciting, pretty sweet technology. I would love to get my hands on this, so I'm really looking forward to this, and hopefully we do hear more about this in February. So back to Lenovo's Tech World. The first phone I want to talk about is the Phab 2 Pro. This is one of the phones that I talked about earlier that I was going to get more detail about. Let's talk a little bit more about the Phab 2 Pro. It's the phone that I alluded to earlier. The Phab 2 Pro will sell for $500. Again, $500 unlocked. This will be a Project Tango enabled phone. So this is the one phone that does have that in there. It will have a 6.4 inch quad HD display. It will have the Snapdragon 652 processor in there. It will come with 4 gigs of RAM. Has 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and it comes with a huge 4050 milliamp battery. So I expect good battery life on that one. And it also has a 16 megapixel rear camera, and also the front camera is at 8 megapixels as well. So, and that wasn't the only phone that Lenovo showed off. They had two more Phab 2 phones. The Phab 2 has a 6.4 inch screen, 720 HD display on this one, so not 1080p. It has 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage. The same battery is 4050 milliamp battery. Has a lower camera at 13 megapixels on the rear, 5 megapixels on the front. And this phone is actually going to ship for $199 unlocked. So again, it's a very low phone, not expensive, and it has decent tech in there. Especially if you're not really interested in all that technology, then one of these phones may be right up your alley. And again, moving on to the Phab 2 Plus, which has pretty much the same internals as the Phab 2, but it has a 1080p screen with 6.4 inch. It has an octa-core processor, same RAM, same internal memory, same battery, and this phone will ship for $299. And they both come with a micro SD slot for expandable memory, so that's really good to see that. All right, and that wasn't all. There's still two more phones to talk about: the Moto Z and the Moto Z Force. So again, these phones, going over the specs of those. The Moto Z is 5.2 millimeters thin. So this is technically the thinnest cell phone out there right now. The thinnest flagship phone. Let me correct that. The thinnest flagship phone in the world is over 5 millimeters thick, as you can see here. Meanwhile, the Z Force adds a more rugged case and a shatterproof display, so that's what the Z Force has. But going back to the regular Z specs here, 5.5 inch AMOLED screen with a 2K resolution. Snapdragon 820, 4 gigabytes of RAM. The phone is available in either 32 or 64 gigabytes of internal storage, micro SD slot, and it's 35 milliamp battery. Again, the Moto Z4 has the same specs, except this has a shatterproof glass, and this has a 21 megapixel camera, so much better camera. And this also has support for turbo power charging. So within 15 minutes charging, you can get up to 15 hours battery life. So again, loving the fast charging on these cell phones. So excited to see and hear more about these phones as well. Obviously, the star of the show is the phone's modular snap feature, similar to like the LG G5. The new Moto Z phones have special connector ports on the back. Those connectors are strong magnets that allow users to connect a range of Moto Mods accessories that add all sorts of new features to the phones. The initial Moto Mods include a projector, an attachment that can beam a 70-inch screen onto any wall, JBL speaker attachment, and a battery pack. So really excited about that. In the US, these phones will be Verizon exclusives among carriers this summer, and Lenovo will begin selling unlocked versions directly to consumers this fall. So really exciting stuff. I'm actually loving how Moto Z implemented the modular feature, and it seemed to come right out the back with some useful mods. LG was kind of slow to the market with that, and still don't know what they're doing with their mods right now. But once this hits the market, that's going to put a lot of pressure on LG, and I'm really excited about that. So pretty cool. All right, folks, that is all the news I have for you this week in the Blip. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Make sure you tell all your friends on social media about Sounds Nerdy here. Once again, I have been Jamocha from Sounds Nerdy. You can follow me on Twitter at SNJamocha. Make sure you follow Sounds Nerdy on Twitter at Sounds Nerdy. And until the next video, guys, stay nerdy.
I will rise to the top, rise to the top. I will never stop, I will never give up.